In the 12th century, Ibn Arabi revealed a secret about wealth so dangerous that scholars hid it, rulers feared it, and mystics only whispered it behind closed doors. A secret that did not simply challenge the economic systems of his time. It threatened to overturn humanity's entire understanding of prosperity itself. Because according to Ibn Arabi, wealth does not come from effort, strategy, or opportunity. It comes from a hidden spiritual law woven into the fabric of existence, a law that most people unknowingly violate every single day, and then wonder why their risk feels blocked. For 8 centuries, this knowledge remained concealed within Sufi manuscripts and private circles of the initiated. It was considered too powerful, too disruptive, too easily misunderstood. But today, you are going to hear it, clearly, openly, and in a way it has never been explained before. By the end of this journey, you will understand why. Those who chase wealth repel it, and those who align with the source attract it effortlessly, stay until the end. This is the teaching that changed kingdoms, redirected destinies, and transformed ordinary seekers into vessels of unstoppable abundance. Before we go deeper, if these hidden teachings resonate with you, consider subscribing. This channel is a home for seekers, those who wish to understand the unseen architecture of reality with clarity and reverence. To appreciate Ibn Arabi's secret, we must return to a world of caravan markets, Sufi lodges, desert nights, and scholars whose understanding of reality reached far beyond the visible horizon. Ibn Arabi, Sheikh al-Akbar, the greatest master, did not speak from theory. He spoke from witnessing. His life was a journey through Andalusia, North Africa, Mecca, Damascus, Konya. A journey not only across lands, but across layers of reality. In his writings, provision, risk, is not merely income or material wealth. It is a movement decreed before creation, a flow tied to the deep relationship between the human heart and al-Haq, the real. Referring to a profound saying of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "If you were to rely upon Allah with true reliance, He would provide for you as He provides for the birds. They leave hungry and return full." He watched people striving, calculating, fearing poverty, and chasing comfort. Yet he saw something deeper, that what reached each person was mysteriously precise, as if drawn to them by an unseen law. To understand the hidden law of wealth, we must begin exactly where this secret first appeared in his inner unveiling. The story begins in Mecca. In the sanctuary of the Kaaba, under the shadow of the ancient house, Ibn Arabi spent long nights in solitude and contemplation. The marketplace outside was full of noise, merchants negotiating, coins clinking, caravans arriving with goods from distant lands. He watched as people prayed for wealth, begged for relief, feared loss, and clung to their possessions. Some blamed fate. Others praised their own intelligence and hard work. But beneath it all, he perceived a pattern they could not see. He recorded a breakthrough insight. Provision comes to you by the movement of your reality, not by the movement of your limbs. In the Holy Quran, Allah declares, "And there is no creature on earth except that its provision is upon Allah." The Prophet Muhammad taught, the angel is commanded to write his provision, his lifespan, his deeds, and whether he will be blessed or wretched. With this, he crossed an invisible threshold. Wealth, in his view, was not something a person simply earned. It was something unveiled, a decree already inscribed, appearing at the right moment and in the right way. The hand moves, but the heart is the true recipient. The outer effort is a veil over a deeper orchestration. You may think you gained wealth through strategy, but behind that strategy stands a subtle alignment between your inner state and the divine will. This realization shattered the common assumption that wealth was purely the product of human effort. It hinted at a hidden architecture in which action plays a role, but never as the ultimate source. And yet this was only the surface. The real mystery was still hidden. To decode the law of divine prosperity, we must first understand the cosmic architecture that Ibn Arabi witnessed. A universe not fixed and mechanical, but alive with motion, meaning, and mercy. He describes existence not as a solid building frozen in time, but as a primordial oceanic surge, a continuous, irresistible outpouring of divine grace. This is the breath of the all-merciful, Nafas al-Rahman. The Quran describes this divine command. His command is only this: when He wills a thing, He says to it, "Be," and it is. Do not imagine a single sigh and then silence. Imagine instead an infinite cascade of light and potential, descending at every instant, never pausing, never repeating itself in exactly the same form. Every ripple in that cascade gives rise to new states, new opportunities, new provisions. You are not living in a closed, fixed universe. You are being carried within a living, breathing act of mercy. In this vision, wealth is not an object that sits in a vault or a number trapped in a bank account. It is a breath event, a ripple moving from the unseen to the seen, continually generated by the source and delivered through the changing circumstances of your life. Ibn Arabi explains that all manifestation unfolds through a sacred three-stage sequence. First, al-ilm, divine knowledge, the realm in which all possibilities are known before any choice is made. Second, al-irada, divine will, the selection of one specific possibility from among the countless others. Third, al-qudra, divine power, the bringing of that chosen possibility into concrete existence in the world of forms. Only after these three stages does anything appear before your eyes. The implication is profound. Wealth is determined before you act. Your action does not create the decree, it unveils it. This is why Ibn Arabi can say without exaggeration, the seeker does not gather provision, he gathers alignment. When you align with the source, when your beliefs, intentions, and trust harmonize with the divine names that govern provision, the decree flows toward you with less resistance. And what came next was nothing like what anyone expected. Once the cosmic structure is understood, Ibn Arabi brings the teaching inward and shows us where the real battlefield lies. The true marketplace, he says, is not out there in the world of trade and contracts. The true marketplace is the human heart. Allah declares in the Holy Quran, "And whoever is mindful and God-conscious of Allah, He will make for him a way out and will provide for him from where he does not expect." 65, 2-3. Because God-consciousness begins in the heart, this verse reveals that provision is unlocked not by effort, but by the inner cosmic alignment that shifts the heart's frequency from fear into trust. It is within the heart that fear and trust negotiate. Desire and contentment bargain. Gratitude and greed compete for dominance, and the outcome of these inner negotiations shapes what appears in your life. In Sufi psychology, two forces open the gates of provision: Tawakkul and Tafa'ul. Tawakkul is not laziness or passivity. It is an active, conscious reliance on the real, a decision to lean on God more than on your own calculations. Tafa'ul is not blind optimism. It is a positive expectation rooted in the knowledge that Allah is Al-Karim, Al-Razzaq, the generous, the provider. Then there are two forces that slam those gates shut: Khawf and Tama. Khawf is fear, the fear of not having enough, the fear of losing what you have, the fear that you are ultimately alone in a hostile universe. Tama is greed, an insatiable hunger that can never be satisfied, no matter how much it receives. Ibn Arabi writes in meaning, "Fear closes the door of Rizq, trust opens it." When fear rules the heart, a person clings, hoards, and panics. Their decisions are constricted, their perception narrows, They read life as threat instead of opportunity. In this state, even if wealth arrives, it does not feel like abundance. When trust rules the heart, a person spends wisely, gives generously, and walks through uncertainty with a quiet dignity. They make space for new forms of provision to appear. They recognize opportunity where others see only walls. Here, wealth is not only what you have, it is how you inhabit what you have. Two people can hold the same amount of money. One feels desperate, the other feels rich. But this insight became dangerous because the next revelation challenged everything people thought they knew about effort, work, and means. Ibn Arabi unfolds a teaching that many were not ready to hear. He says that attachment to the means, what he calls asbab, is a subtle form of shirk. Not the shirk of bowing to idols of stone, but the shirk of bowing to inner idols. The idol of the salary, the idol of the market, the idol of one's own intelligence. If a person believes in their heart that their job is the giver, that the economy is the source, that their strategy is the reason they eat, then they have veiled themselves from the one who actually provides. He expresses this with a piercing statement. Whoever sees the means as the giver has veiled himself from the giver of the means. This does not mean that one abandons work, business, or planning. Ibn Arabi is not calling for irresponsibility. Rather, he is calling for a radical shift in sight. The hands may work in the world of causes, but the heart must remain turned toward the causer of causes. In this teaching, effort is no longer the master of wealth. It becomes its servant. The real master is the heart's witnessing of Allah as the sole source of provision. This teaching unsettled jurists and perplexed theologians because it moved the center of gravity of wealth away from visible effort and into the unseen relationship between the servant and the Lord. It implied that a person could be outwardly busy, clever, and engaged in countless projects, yet inwardly blocked from true abundance. And someone else, with far fewer means, could live in a state of deep, quiet sufficiency. This raised a burning question. If wealth is not fundamentally from our effort, then what exactly is our role? But this left one unanswered question, one that opens the next doorway. To approach an answer, we can look at a few modern perspectives, not as proofs, but as echoes. In psychology, studies on mindset and expectation suggest that what you consistently believe about your future subtly shapes your decisions, your attention, and even your environment. People who genuinely expect good things are more likely to notice opportunities, take courageous steps, and recover from setbacks. This is not magic. It is the heart influencing behavior, and behavior shaping reality. Ibn Arabi's insight resonates here. What the heart anticipates, it attracts, not by superstition, but by the deep link between inner state and outer action. In systems theory, complex systems like economies, ecosystems, or even organizations function best when their parts align with the system's natural flow rather than fighting against it. When there is obstruction, rigidity, or fear-driven control, the system stagnates or collapses. In a similar way, Ibn Arabi describes the human being as part of a vast, divine flow. When the heart is soft, trusting, and aligned, a person is carried by that flow. Wealth arrives in forms they could not have calculated. When the heart is tight and anxious, they fight the current and exhaust themselves. In the philosophy of mind, some thinkers explore how the observer is not fully separate from what is observed. While this is not identical to Sufi metaphysics, it offers a metaphor. Our way of seeing reality participates in the reality we experience. Ibn Arabi's doctrine of Wahdat al-Wujud the unity of being, presents existence as a single interwoven reality, continuously manifesting the names of God. Within this unity, wealth is not an isolated object to chase. It is one pattern in the endless self-disclosure of the real. When you stand under certain divine names, like al-Razaq, the provider, or al-Karim, the generous, your life begins to reflect those names in subtle ways. Your outward story becomes a mirror of the inward alignment. Again, these are conceptual parallels, not scientific claims, but they help us feel the nearness of what Ibn Arabi is pointing to, a universe where inner state and outer provision are deeply entangled. And yet, even these parallels touch only the edges. The real unveiling lies deeper. Now we enter the heart of the teaching, the esoteric unveiling of the hidden law of wealth, revealed through 4 sacred pillars: kashf, unveiling; hakika, cosmic truth; shuhud, spiritual witnessing; and tawajjuh, inner orientation toward the divine. Pillar 1, the final unveiling, kashf. Ibn Arabi reveals that your provision seeks you more faithfully than you seek it. The sustenance written for you in the preserved tablet is not wandering aimlessly through the cosmos, wondering where to go. It knows your name. It knows your needs. It knows the exact moment it must arrive. But there is a condition. It reaches you in the form that best serves your journey to God. Sometimes that form is comfort. Sometimes that form is restriction. Sometimes it comes as wealth in the hand. Sometimes as contentment in the heart. Both are risk. He warns that when you become attached to the form, you lose sight of the giver. When you become attached to the giver, every form becomes a vehicle of abundance. Pillar 2, the cosmic connection, hakika. To understand this more deeply, Ibn Arabi links provision to the station of al-insan al-kamil, the perfect human being. This is the human who reflects the divine names without distortion, whose heart is a polished mirror for the reality. In his perspective, every person stands under a configuration of divine names. These names shape their character, their tests, and their provision. If someone lives under the shadow of al-Ghaniyu, the self-sufficient, they are given chances to detach from their dependence on created things and lean on the one who needs nothing. If they are touched by al-Wahhab, the constant giver, they may find that opportunities, ideas, and unexpected supports appear for them in surprising ways, especially when they give freely to others. If they reflect al-Razaq, the provider, they may be used as channels through which others receive provision, feeding, teaching, comforting, or guiding. Ibn Arabi encapsulates this with a subtle formula. You receive from the name you stand under. This means that wealth is not random, it is patterned. It moves through you according to the divine names you are being asked to realize. Pillar 3, the witnessing, shuhud. The culmination of the teaching is not an idea, it is a state of witnessing. Ibn Arabi describes a moment when the heart becomes so empty of anxiety, so free from clinging, that it turns into an open space for Rizq to descend. He writes in meaning, when the heart empties itself, provision rushes into it from all directions. This is not merely poetry, it is a description of spiritual physics. The more the heart is filled with worry, obsession, and self-reliance, the less room there is for trust, inspiration, and subtle forms of provision. But when the heart lets go, without abandoning effort, but abandoning the illusion of control, something profound occurs. Opportunities appear, people arrive, a door opens where there was only a wall. At this level, provision is not just about survival. It becomes a language through which the beloved speaks to the lover. And yet, even this is not the final word. There is a truth beyond truths, waiting in the very center of your own journey. And this folds into the truth at the center of your journey. Wealth, in Ibn Arabi's vision, is not the coins you collect, not the comfort you secure, not the numbers that rise and fall in your accounts. Wealth is the unveiling of your relationship with the source. When your heart is aligned, when it trusts, when it remembers, when it stands under the names of generosity and provision, Rizq flows toward you in the ways that truly grow you. When your heart is constricted, when it fears, when it clings, when it believes the means are the giver, Rizq feels narrow, even if the numbers are large. The external world mirrors the inner state. The cosmos, in a mysterious way, answers the call of your deepest orientation. This is the law Ibn Arabi discovered. This is the law that few understand. This is the law that can change how you walk through every moment of your life. The ultimate revelation is this: you do not chase provision. You clear the inner space of the heart, for the only veil separating you from abundance is the anxiety woven by your own seeking. Wealth does not flee from you. It waits for the moment your heart becomes still enough to recognize the giver behind every means. The hidden lore of wealth is not carved on stone tablets or locked in secret manuscripts. It is inscribed within your own being from the moment you were created. You are not distant from divine prosperity. You are only distant from the certainty that it was always meant to reach you. Before we continue, if this journey has opened something within you, subscribe to Manar al-Madinah, not for numbers, but because the teachings we explore here are rare, delicate, and often absent from mainstream discourse. If this knowledge resonates with your soul, then this is your circle. Now, your next step awaits: the forbidden Sufi text that predicted quantum physics 900 years ago. A journey into the most esoteric pages of the greatest master, where ancient kashf, spiritual unveiling, sketches a vision of reality woven from subtle forces, interdependence, and hidden dimensions. Long before modern physics searched for language to describe uncertainty, entanglement, and the invisible field beneath appearances, Ibn Arabi was writing in a symbolic tongue that seems to echo these mysteries with astonishing depth, not as literal science, but as a spiritual cosmology that still resonates with the questions physicists ask today. Until then, may your steps move with awareness, and your heart remain aligned with the source.